All right, I think everybody's in, and Mike, Scubaqua Mike, no pressure, but I think we just hit our record so far today. 112 people are in the room.
Well, I mailed all my friends and family. And it's
okay, that's all the numbers. All right, so hi everybody, welcome to our Stacia seminar. Stacia, also, well, St. Eustatius is the official name, also known as Stacia by locals. I will let Mike get into that. Mike Hardeneck is the owner of Scubaqua Dive Center. I'm going to secretly admit now, and I'm sorry if there's anybody here that shouldn't say this to me, but this is personally one of my favorite places in the Caribbean out of anywhere. And I'm not just saying that because Mike's here, but Scubaqua and Old Gin at Stacia are one of my favorite places to stay, and an excellent dive shop too. So I'm really excited that they're sharing this special place with you, and I am going to hand you over to Mike.
Thank you, Cheryl. Good to hear it. This is one of your favorite places, if not the, and I couldn't agree more. First of all, thank you very much for organizing this. From a resort background, we need people like you organizing this in shitty times. So thank you very much for doing this. I guess no one can speak to me except you, Cheryl. And if there are questions in between, I think you can break in if I'm correct.
Yes, right now it's just me on the chat. What we've been asking, if anyone that's familiar with Zoom, there's a little area in the chat box to raise your hand. If you can find that, you can raise your hand and we will switch your mic on. Somebody just tested it and then put their hand back down. It did work. You can also in the chat box type your questions, and there's also a little Q&A box. So kind of float around and play with that a little bit and put something in the chat box or raise your hand, and then I can bring you in one at a time. I apologize for not having everybody's faces and mics on automatically, but especially when you're broadcasting from somewhere such as Stacia, what we're finding is by adding video or audio streaming on all of the participants, it's really bogging down your presentation. So if you wanted to give that at the end, we can try and turn on video and you can see everybody's smiling faces if you want to. And in the meantime, as I said, if everybody wants to raise their hands or stick something in the chat box, we will switch you on and you can chat directly to Mike.
Okay, sounds good. I just start my presentation, Cheryl. Is that okay for you?
Yes, please, go ahead. This is all yours.
Well, welcome everybody. I want to show you around on my hometown, my little island where I lived for the last 12 years. And a lot of you probably never heard of it because it's a kind of a hidden secret in the middle of the well-traveled Caribbean. It's hard to ask you now who knows about St. Eustatius, but I bet a few of you don't. And it will change after this presentation, I hope. I tried to walk through my presentation, but I got some issues. Let me see. This works, yeah. St. Eustatius, as Cheryl mentioned, we call it Stacia. It's shorter and it sounds better. What I want to do is talk a little bit about the history, because we are pretty much connected. Of course, I want to say something about the diving and what makes diving so special here. About the island, and last but not least, who are we? Who is Scubaqua? Cheryl, Marika is online and I don't see her screen moving.
Yeah, we're not seeing your screen moving at all. Carrie, if you want to jump in here and assist Mike, because I know it was working a minute ago. If there's something, Carrie, you can do to help Mike get his presentation on screen.
Yeah, let me just, I'm going to stop the screen share and start over. Mike, do you have your presentation open?
Yes.
Okay, so you're going to do that green button at the bottom. Again, make sure you click that button for audio and then pick a screen. Here we go.
Is better?
Yes.
Let me see.
Yep,
Yes.
that's working.
Okay. Okay.
I can see you now.
All right. We're looking at a screen at an old painting here, And this is about the history in Statia. Statia used to be the biggest harbor in the world. Bristol in England had 1,400 big ships in its port every year. It was the second biggest harbor in the world. Statia, by far, with 3,500 big ships in the port every year, was like Manhattan. In this painting, you see a few things. There's a big ship in the middle with the flag, the old flag from the United States. And on top of the mast is a Dutch flag. And it says, it's maybe hard to read, Andrew Doria, not to confuse with Andrea Doria. And then you see on the background Stacia with the volcano and some clouds. And those clouds, they come out from the fort, also with a small Dutch flag there. That's Fort Orange Fort. And what this painting says is that we, a foreign entity, a foreign nation, give you guys, America, the first salute. Actually, without us, you guys would be British. So there's a lot of history between our little island and the United States. We were the first one to recognize you as a sovereign state. And we Dutch, nothing really changed, but we will sell everything to everybody, whoever wants to buy. So we, what we did is we sold you a lot of weapons and ammunition to fight the English. So it's because of us a little bit that you guys are not British right now. So you're welcome. Let me see. Yes. This was how the bay looked like. And I don't see the screen is changing. Yes,
Mike, I hate to jump in and interrupt your reservation, but you're so dry with your just everybody. Mike's having a little bit of fun. He is sharing history, but he delivers it so dry. I just wanted to let you know this random Dutch guy isn't being a complete ass. Sorry, Mike. Go ahead. I was just about to watch your record numbers of 131 attendees like go down to 0, but.
Oh no.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No problem. This was how the bay looked like, and this was Stacia at that time was like eBay and Amazon combined. Everything you could think of centuries ago was for sale in Stacia. 20,000 people lived on the island. It was the hotspot to be with trade. And we do still find a lot of stuff from history underwater, but I will talk about it in a minute. The diving. Let's start with our boats. This is the Green Flash. Fits 25 persons, has a toilet on board, and of course all the necessary safety measures you could think of. Smaller boats, 27 feet, fits 15 persons. The yellow boat, we painted it blue last year, but if you change the name of your ship, it's not good practice. So yellow boat it is, but it has a blue color. This is the whole island, 8 square miles in total. What's special is that twice the island is a park. And on land, you see the stuff on the north, that's Boven area, that's a national park. The volcano is a national park. But more importantly, everything what's light on this picture is a marine park. And it's divided in 2 sections. The really light blue is a marine park where fishing is allowed, but not everything. And you have in the north and in the south a little bit darker blue. That's our marine reserves where nothing is allowed fishing-wise, only diving. We have 36 moorings. Stenapa, the nature organization, placed those moorings and maintain them. A marine park tag for a year is $30. Goes to Stenapa to maintain those moorings. And what's unique is that we are in the same area as Coco Island and Galapagos, because twice of the whole island is protected by this, and our marine park is even bigger than the marine park in Bonaire, and it runs from the shoreline until 90 feet deep. During your dives, you will see what a marine park does, and we'll talk about it a little bit more, because we do see lobsters by the 10, 20, sometimes hundreds, and sharks and turtles. While in some other islands, it's already a little bit less. Diving, it's what we do is we dive in small groups. And small groups is max 6 persons on one of our instructors, one of our guides. That's the maximum. We actually dive the way we want to dive ourselves on our vacations, meaning unlimited dive time until the no decompression limit. If you can dive an hour, you dive an hour. If you dive 90 minutes, in some shallow dives, you dive 90 minutes. Shallow dives though, I wrote down nitrox is recommended and free. You don't pay extra for nitrox because our dives are not like, for instance, Bonaire, that you can go up until almost the surface. They're quite deep. Quite deep means average 65, maybe a little bit deeper. So not deep, but we have a U profile. The reefs are kind of on the bottom. And they're actually made by the volcano. All those lava flows are now fully overgrown with coral and sponges, and in between there's some sandy patches. But nitrox is kind of recommended, especially if you do a 2-tank, so you don't get into decompression quickly. Current, if we have current, we sometimes do. We check every time before we jump in. We have a current line with a drop tank. So before we jump in, we check the current, and there's 3 options. One, no current or mild current. We do the dive according to plan. The second option is, well, there is some current. We're gonna drift, meaning we jump in that mooring and then we drift to another mooring, and in the meantime, the boat will get there. And the third option is we cannot drift on this particular dive site, so we're going to move to another dive site to make it happen. How many times does it happen? Twice a week that we have to drift because it's a bit of much current. As I said, 8 square miles of island is not so much, meaning our boat rides is about 10 minutes max. Maybe 12 if we go very slow towards the north and the south. So it's short boat rides. And in the meantime, after the dive, before the second dive, we continue back to the harbor where we do our briefing, change the tanks, and going for another dive. What makes Stacia special is that, in a nutshell, in a really small island, we have 7 different ecosystems. You can do 10 dives in our place and have the feeling I went to another island. The environment changed, completely different landscape, and that makes it for you guys and also for us interesting to dive. One of those ecosystems is a muck dive and a dive site called Blue Bead Hole. I dare to say the most unique dive site in the world. There's only one of them, and that's Blue Bead Hole in Stacia. What I'm holding here is a blue bead. It's a pentagon-shaped, 5-sided glass bead made in Amsterdam 300 years ago. And they were brought to Stacia as wages for the slaves. We had 600 warehouses packed till the rim full of goodies and so on. And the Dutch were afraid, well, the Dutch are always afraid to lose money. That's, it's in our genes. So to keep the slaves happy, not the right word, but under control maybe, they got paid by a blue bead for a week of labor. And there's a few stories about those blue beads. One is if you earn enough, you could buy your own freedom. But believe me, those Dutch, you probably have to be 200 years old to earn enough to buy your freedom back. Another story was when you had enough blue beads and it fits a woman's waist, you could marry her. And the best story of all is when slavery was abolished finally. The legend says that the slaves walked up to the water edge and they had the beads on the necklaces. They took it off and they threw it in the ocean to celebrate freedom. Diving is freedom. And this story we like so much, we made it into our logo. Here it is. There's the 5-sided pentagon blue bead in the middle and the water wrinkles around it, symbol of freedom. Everyone wants to go dive blue bead hole. And another legend is that they find you, not the other way around. You don't find them, they find you. And when you've been found, you have to return. Guess if you don't get found, you want to, return to get found as well. So that's perfect marketing, I would say. What are the chances? Well, they get smaller and smaller every year. But I think we do have an average of, if we go with a full boat, that one person finds a blue bead. I think that's a little bit of the average. Used to be like this. This is Gershon, one of the local guys. In the past, you could find them on the beach, on land, wherever you walked, but they're getting a bit more rare. But it's definitely a dive you don't want to miss. Also because in that area, it's our muck diving area, where we find this beautiful one, the flying gurnards. They have a head like a dinosaur. They walk on the fins and they actually rake the bottom looking for blue beads. Not a coincidence, but the blue of the fins is the same blue as the blue beads itself. When you approach, or when a barracuda approaches them, they want to make themselves big to scare predators away. And that's what you see in this picture. In the same area, this is a pike blenny. Inch and a half long, thin as an inside of a pencil, sand color, really hard to find. But what is special with those guys is that when a male pike blenny finds another one, they're gonna show off. They're gonna show off who has the biggest mouth, who has the biggest fin, who has the biggest throat. They can blow it up, and that looks like this. One pike blenny intimidating another one. To be honest, Cheryl and everyone's listening, this is one fish, but he's looking in the mirror. I put a little mirror in front of him. So now he sees himself and he thinks, I can handle this guy. I am tougher than the other one. This is not land bay, this is Stacia in the Caribbean. In that same area, we find a lot of critters, a lot of blennies, and as seen in this picture, mantis shrimp as well. So muck diving. This is Ruud, island archaeologist, and he's holding a shackle from a slave ship. We do have a lot of history, not only on land, but we have dive sites like triple wreck and double wreck, where we find wine bottles and pottery and barrel hooks and cannons. So quite diverse. And this is all in the bay in front of the dive center, where the ships were on anchor centuries ago. Let me throw in some wrecks. On this picture is the Chingtong, 160 feet long wreck standing straight up. And during the day, it's beautiful. It's a must-do night dive. And why? All the turtles, not all, but a bunch of them, I mean dozens, they come at night to have a good night's sleep on the wreck. Turtles, they have air in the lungs. When they want to sleep with air in the lungs, they will float up to the surface where they are more vulnerable. So they choose this wreck, don't ask me why this one, to tuck themselves in. You see in the top the railing, and there's some staircases, and they all put their fin or the shield underneath the staircase to have a good night sleep. And it's not only the small ones, but also mama and papas, the huge turtles, they join in. And it's if you only see 10 turtles in this night dive, huge ones, it's not so much. So it's really worthwhile to dive this one at night. Same ting tong, standing straight up. This is another one. It's the Charles Brown. And I think if I push the button, you see the whole rack. Here we go. Charles Brown was a cable layer from AT&T, and the island bought it for the price of $1, because we promised the board of AT&T that we make it into an artificial reef. And in that time, the whole island helped to clean it up, take all the oil out and everything what could float away. Still people in Stacia sleeping on a mattress from the Charles Brown. This is a wreck, 327 feet long. It's not a little tugboat. You could do actually a few dives on this to see the complete one. Quite deep. The bottom is 90 feet, but the top is 60. So even if divers with some less experience, we can dive this, but then instead of going all the way to the bottom, stay a bit more on top of the wreck. Worthwhile seeing, I would say. It's a must-do dive as well, but we have more. Charlie, good chance if you dive to Charles Brown, you find a resident barracuda, Charlie. And Charlie is a real barracuda, 4 feet, bright white teeth, and he doesn't care about divers at all. So you can approach, you can almost touch him. He doesn't swim away. So if you are up for a challenge, go look Charlie in his eyes. Brings me to the reefs. In the south, under the volcano, there's this picture. We have a dive site called Grand Canyon. The volcano, for people who don't dive, they think it's 1,800 feet tall, but it's way taller. And the best part of the volcano, although it's really nice on land, is underwater. Because in the south, the volcano continues to drop down, at least twice the size of the volcano on land. And you have lava flows on the left and the right, and left and right, and in between you have gaps where those two divers on this picture are diving. Little bit more towards the middle of the island is our lava gardens, where we have the moorings. Well, we have moorings everywhere. And that's where we see the big agonians and big sponges, and no one will throw an anchor there. So it's healthy coral with healthy marine life, and with average depth of what I said, 60 feet, so quite deep, means they're hurricane proof. So we are sometimes wishing they were a bit more shallow, but we're in hurricane country, so I actually like that it's a bit more deep, so it's protected. Do we see sharks? Yes. Every dive? No. If you dive for a week, you do see sharks. And this is a picture of reef sharks. And we have Caribbean reef sharks and nurse sharks. Not every dive, but during a week you will encounter them for sure. Lobsters, as I said, where some other islands in the area get ballistic when they see one lobster, then I can promise you, you're going to stop counting lobsters after one day. We see the first day photographers, lobsters making pictures. But after a few days, they normally don't bother anymore because they have already enough of lobsters. This is a little video. I hope it works. I made last year. I must say it's exceptional how much lobsters are on this little video from, I think, 30 seconds only. Let's have a look. Cheryl, I hope you counted.
Yeah, I hear you. We're bogging down. I tell you what, Mike, as much as I love your lovely face, you might want to switch your video off and it might help a little bit.
Okay.
Just for now, and then when we do Q&A, we'll have your video up again, but that sometimes we'll relieve it a little bit.
Okay, no problem.
I'll stop it for you.
Thanks, Carrie.
I'm gone now?
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe the video didn't work well, but if you counted lobsters, you win a prize. There's a bunch of them in it. Let me see. The island themselves. 8 square miles of nature. And there's only one city. It's called Oranjestad, means orange city. And you see Marika is standing here in the north, watching towards the volcano, and St. Kitts is in the back. This is where we are located, close to St. Maarten. To get here, you have to go to St. Maarten first, and then with a small plane towards us, the only way to get here. But it's 18 minutes plane ride with a small plane from St. Maarten. I got this from St. Maarten website last week. These are flights from the United States towards St. Maarten. New York and Boston has a star. They don't go operate every week of the year. They are seasonable. But for the other airlines, that's normally every week. I got a question yesterday with Cheryl when I was in this group chat about when I suspected that the flights will fly again. And my honest answer is I have no clue. And I think no one does in the moment, hopefully soon. But I would be surprised if it's next month or a month later. Has to do with your government, has to do with the St. Maarten government, has to do with the local government here. No clue, and no one knows. Cheryl doesn't know. Hopefully soon. And we discussed yesterday that the good thing is that divers are like junkies. They need to go down in the water, and they're probably one of the first groups who's going to travel if it all opens up. And I hope for us and for everyone else that it doesn't take too long. But I can't give you the answer. From St. Maarten, normally 5 times a week we got a plane from St. Maarten with Winair. 5 times a day with Winair. 18 persons twin otter. It's kind of an adventure on itself to fly with this one, especially if you have some local ladies in the plane who start to pray when there's a little bit of a movement in the plane. This is the only way to come to our island for the moment. Maybe later on there's talk about having a ferry, but so far this is the only way to travel to us. The island, sunny. It's not as dry as Curacao, Bonaire, Aruba. We have a bit more rain, but in average it's sunny. Our national currency is the US dollar. We have some connections. Our language is English. It used to be official Dutch, but even the schools now go over into English. It becomes, they do speak Dutch though, but English is the normal street language we use. A little bit over 3,000 people, and what's remarkable of the 3,000 people, it's 55 nationalities from all over the world, living hand in hand in a small 8 square mile island. Besides diving, Stacia has some great hiking. The volcano is a kind of must-do if you're here, especially if you have to be a little bit fit, to be honest, because Stacia is pure, it's the real deal. We don't have concrete steps towards the volcano and inside. It's a bit rocky. It's dirt roads with some rocks, and climbing into the volcano and out, you find a rainforest. For those who are a bit fit, do it. History tours are available, and what's special about Stacia as well. Every house in Stacia is unlocked. Every car has the car keys on his car. Practically zero crime. I wouldn't say zero, but some small stuff. Sometimes a bicycle got stolen, and normally in a few days they got them back because there's nowhere to go. It's safe. You can walk the street at night, during the day. If you leave your wallet somewhere, locals will call you back. Say, sir, ma'am, you lost something. And something you have to get used to is we wave. If we drive around Stacia, every car we see or everyone walking the street, we wave to each other. And every time Rick and I are on a holiday and I rent a car in New York City and I'm in front of the traffic light, I wave to the car next to me because we're kind of used to it. And then I got a face like, what are you doing? So it's a strange island. We wave at each other, so you know. Easiest way for me to explain what the island is about is to tell you what we don't have. For instance, this is the cruise ship with a swimming pool. And I counted the heads. There's more people on this picture than on the whole of Stacia. We don't have cruise ships. Not the amount of tourists you see here on the island at all, not even close. Someone told me this is a traffic light. We don't have those. Fast food chains, McDonald's in this case, no. Wendy's, no. Domino's Pizza, no. Oh, no, not true. Well, we don't have a Domino's Pizza on the island, but the Domino Pizza in Sint Maarten is in the Guinness Book of Records because they deliver to 7 different countries from Sint Maarten within half an hour. So if you're on a plane and you smell pizza, there's a good chance because someone on Stacia ordered from Domino's in Sint Maarten. So we do have a little bit of Domino's. Taco Bell, no. Walmart, no. Hilton, no. Marriott, no. This is Los Angeles by night. Probably they have a little bit less traffic jams than they used to have. No traffic jams, no shopping malls. It is an island where time stood still. It's a small town. Sometimes I'm late for work though. We do have traffic jams now and then, but then it's caused by those fellas, little piggies in this case, sometimes goats or cows who are on the street. Who are we? On the left of this picture, you see the dive center at the beach. Next to it, you see the old gin house. And on top, you see Orange Fort, from which we gave you guys the first salute. When we purchased the building 6-7 years ago, it looked like this. It was its former West Indian Company headquarters, one of the 600 warehouses standing, but as you can see, it was in bad shape. And we, being dive instructors, also are handy with masonry and woodwork and toilets and roofs, and we restored it into this. And inside we have a shop. So there are shops at Stacia, but not so much, no shopping malls at least. This is our hangout where we normally, after the dive, have our drinks and cocktails and watch the sun goes down. That looks like this. Storage room. Those boxes you see, what we do is we pick you up at the airport. You don't have to ask for a taxi or something. Someone of Scubaqua is there. And then we bring you to the hotel and we give you a little briefing in the hotel, how it works, what time to gather at the dive center and so In the meantime, your suitcases are in front of your door, and next to the door we put a box, and we ask you to put your dive gear in it if you don't want to, if you have your own, if you travel with your own. We also ask you if you want to do valet diving, meaning if you want, that's the last time you touch your gear. That's when you put it in your box, because next morning we collect it in front of your hotel room. We go to the boat, we put it up, we set it up on a tank. In between dives, we change your tank while you're listening to the briefing. And on the end of the dive day, you jump on the truck back to the dive center, have a shower and a drink and a cocktail, and talk lies about how big the shark was. And we tear your gear down, break it off, rinse it, store it, and next morning we set it up again. So if you want to do valet diving, you only touch your gear when you're diving with it, and for the rest we take care of it. Doesn't mean you have to. It's only for those who want to. Some people want to set up their own gear, and that's fine with us as well, of course. What makes a difference is the team, and I know a few of them are listening right now. We dive the way we want to dive ourselves, meaning not the whole group has to go up when someone is low on air. In that case, even though we have small groups, we try to look at the groups and put people with the same air consumptions together. But sometimes there's a difference, meaning we bring them back towards the mooring, and 2 of the 5, they are low on air, they go up together at the mooring, and the other 3 continues to dive. We're all instructors, and what's kind of hard for our guys is to work for us, because the owners are walking around all day on the dive center and on the boat, and sometimes we give them a hard time, but mostly not. I can assure you they all love diving, and if that wouldn't be the case, they wouldn't work for us. I mean, look at those smiling faces. Pretty proud of our team, to be honest, but don't tell them. I can say we're pretty good, and so on and so on. Oh yeah, by the way, our ambition is not to become the biggest, not at all. Won't be possible on this island to start with, but our ambition is to become the best, and that's the same for the team. And I can say whatever I want. TripAdvisor won't lie, so I would suggest for those who want to have a look at our TripAdvisor if we're doing well or not. Brings me to the Old Gin House. I timed it. It is 7.1 second walk from the breakfast towards the dive center. So we're attached the neighbors. And on this picture, you see one of the warehouses still standing, the Old Gin House bar. And I've been in a few bars in the past. I dare to say this is the most beautiful bar you've ever been. You feel like you travel back in time, a 300-year-old building with some great rooms. Behind the bar, that's the garden rooms, the swimming pool. Old Gin has 20 rooms. Some are in the garden, a bit smaller rooms, and some are in the front with ocean view rooms. Old Gin House is run by Siebold and Marlies. 20 rooms, small family-owned business. As I showed in some pictures before, not a reception with 5, 6 persons who are welcoming you. It's all a bit more small scale and personal. This is the restaurant and bar. So after the cocktails you had on the dive center, you walk back to the gin house, and often we see the groups end up here waiting for dinner, having a drink, and lie again about the amount of turtles and sharks they saw. And it's all in a few seconds walk from us. I hope this works, Cheryl. A little video about how a day of diving looks like. Let me see if I can start it.
We don't stop it. We don't stop it. We don't stop it. Stop it. I said we don't stop. When you see we on the road again, we don't stop it. Behind the truck we drinking and chipping. We don't stop it. Everybody in the van, time to when it's time to jam. We not leaving till the thing done, done. We don't stop it. When we start climbing, yes, we everywhere. We don't stop it. When we drinking, punching, we chest with beer. We don't stop it. If you think we pray the sun, we jumping until rain come. While we winding down to the ground, ground. We don't stop it. 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 Stop it. We don't stop it. We don't care what all the haters think. We don't stop it. Money low, but we costume and link. We don't stop it. Carnival come on, say yeah. So much spending, I don't care. Every better have to be there, yeah. We don't stop it. In the Nostan, we love the bacchanal. We don't stop it. Beating iron and causing real scandal. We don't stop it. As we face the blazing sun, on the road is a showdown. If you think you get it, we run, run. We don't stop it. 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 Stop it. We don't 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 stop it. Stop it. We don't stop it. Can't surrender, we don't take defeat. We don't stop it. Time to cross the stage with tired feet. We don't stop it. When we reach by the junction, take a drink and raise your hand. As we get on board in the van, van. We don't stop it. Let nothing block your way. We've been waiting every day for this time to break away. Yeah, yeah. Now the day is almost done. People shouting, here we come. Clearly when we're ready to run, run. We don't stop it. 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 Stop it. We don't 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 stop it. Stop it. We don't 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 stop it. Stop it. We don't 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 stop it. Stop it. We don't stop it.
So, on the end, Stacia is not for everybody. If you look for resorts, big resorts, shopping malls, casinos, and so on, this is probably not your island. If you do like, if you're looking for diverse diving in, I hear a rooster on the background. That's our alarm clock. If you're looking for diverse diving in a nutshell and a dive center which takes great care of you, then it is something for you. And then I hope to to see you soon if we're all open up again. Thank you everybody for listening. I hope you, your friends and everybody is safe. Big thank you to Cheryl and her team, who is making this possible, that we can present ourselves in uncertain times. I know for your clients, Cheryl and your team, that they know that you take good care of them. I want to add that Deep Blue also take good care of the partners, the resorts, like us. So thank you very much for reaching out to us. And that's it. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Mike. We do have a few questions. Because we had a few fire off, I'll read out the ones that have already been asked. That's going to cover quite a bit. And then if we have time, we'll open the floor to some more. I do want to say thank you to Mike for coming and doing this presentation today, and for sharing the rooster in the background, because I think it helped take us all away a little bit more. So the rooster was awesome, although he is definitely on COVID stuck at home time at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. What I will say too is with this event, a lot of you may already know, but we have a few sponsors that have generously given us a week away, and Old Gin House and Scubaqua are one of those sponsors. You're automatically entered to win this prize just by being here, so you don't have to do anything additionally. But I did want to point out that these guys are one of the generous sponsors for our event, and do have a week that's going to be up for grabs at the end of all of this thing, where we will pull your name. So some lucky winner is going to go to Stacia for free, thanks to Mike, Marie-Kay, and the team. Mike, very quickly, I want to cover a couple of different questions. One was from Tim Flora, and I'll answer it very quickly. He asked if you could get a plane ticket the whole way. Things change a lot, and me and my team are the ones that tend to live in airline world. Right now, United is the only airline that has a partnership with Win Air, and Win Air through St. Martin is the only way to get there. With United having that partnership, it is possible to buy a ticket all the way through. With United all the way through to Stacia. If you're an American Airlines or a Delta or Spirit fan, then you're going to have to go to St. Martin and then do a separate round trip ticket from there, which runs somewhere between $150 and $250 on average round trip for the hop. One of the other questions, Mike, which I think a lot of people would be interested in, what is the preferred months for diving based on water and weather temperatures?
I would say it's year-round. Actually, the summer is the best. It's year-round, but I would avoid at least September, because that's hurricane month. Let's say August. No, if for you it doesn't matter when you travel, I would also avoid August, just to be on the safe side. To be honest, we didn't have a hurricane for years and years and years, but then, of course, Irma and Maria came by at St. Martin. Normally, it's great diving, more flat seas than during the rest of the years. But I would avoid to say August, September to be on the safe side. For the rest of the year, it doesn't matter. Sometimes we have a bit of rain, but it's unpredictable when. There's always a bit of a breeze. We always have some wind. Sometimes the sea is a bit rougher than other times, but if we can't go out, we won't go out. That happens twice a year. So from October till July, you're good.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Somebody had asked, is there front yard diving?
Yes and no. There is in the front of the dive center an underwater wall, which is really shallow. That's the only option. All the rest is boat diving. You cannot even go into the water because of the cliffs and the rocks. But one exception is in front of the dive center. Mind you, it is 8, 9, 10 feet.
Yeah, I mean, personally, if I'm allowed to say, like, personally speaking, I wouldn't mess with it. If you're a snorkeler, there's some cool snorkeling out front. As a diver, it's really, really special diving in Statia. And I think you really want to take advantage of the boat dives whenever you can, because that's where you're going to see what makes Statia special underwater. Somebody had asked about restrictions on luggage on the puddle jumper, how that works.
23 kilo. It's 23 kilo. That's how many pounds? Cheryl, do the math.
It's right around 50 pounds.
Okay. Yeah.
Which, to be honest, we recommend they stay under anyway, because their international flights are going to enforce them on 50 pounds.
Yeah. May I add, Cheryl? Sometimes we got a question, and I didn't cover it here. What if my luggage doesn't arrive, and if it's from American or Delta or something, or Win Air? Does it happen? Yeah, it happens sometimes. So we recommend to put your, let's say, dive mask and your personal stuff in your carry-on. And in case your luggage your dive equipment don't arrive, you dive with our rental equipment for free. And we make sure we pick up your suitcase the next morning or the same day and bring it to your hotel.
And we have had that happen with our clients, and these divers has been amazing. Mike, I'm going to power through these because lots of questions and very little time. A couple of people have been asking about wrecks. Are they in the same depths? How deep are they? That good stuff. Can you cover the wrecks?
Yeah, Charles Brown, the big one, 90 feet deep is the bottom, 60 feet is the top. So it's suitable also for less experienced divers who don't go to the bottom then. And the King Tong, the other big wreck, is 70 feet on the bottom, but 45, 50 on the top. So both diveable, also with less experienced divers.
Is there a recompression chamber on the island?
It's a yes and a no. Officially, I should say no. Because we have an oil terminal who has the Stacia a boat with a decompression chamber. It's just they are 24/7 operational. They got their own divers who sometimes are in this chamber because they do saturation dives, and they're not made, well, they're not here to support sports divers. So New Star tells me, no, we don't exist. In case of an accident, what happened in the past, we bring someone who has, who thinks he has decompression illness. We're not doctors, we bring it to the hospital where they have oxygen and stuff. And then the doctor in the hospital, they come up with a solution. And the solution we have now is, in the past, that we went to this ship if necessary. Another solution is there's a helicopter standing by 24/7, and there's a chamber in Seba.
Okay. Do you have any good non-artificial wrecks?
Say again.
Do you have any good non-artificial wrecks? I think probably meaning like naturally sunk.
I got you. We do. We have a dive site called double wreck and triple wreck, but it sounds like a wreck dive. And it's just an old wooden ship, or a few of them, but you don't recognize it anymore because the wood is all rotten away. And actually where you're diving on is ballast stones and anchors and cannons. But those ballast stones are completely covered in sponges and coral. It looks like a natural reef, but it's built upon ballast stones from an old wreck. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Real quick, one more and then we're out of time. New Wave is asking about possible whale migrations in February. Do you want to share a little bit about the whale activity because we don't personally, we love you guys, but we don't personally sell this as a whale watching trip because I know they're very much touch and go, but you have been having that phenomenon. Do you want to touch on that real quick, and then we'll have to wrap this up. But anyone that has any other questions, please reach out to us after this. We'd love to keep it going.
We'll see. Migrating wheel season runs in January, February, March. In those months, we hear them. It's just because we always have a breeze, always have some waves. It's hard to spot. Sometimes we're lucky. Sometimes we see them a few days in a row. But we have to be lucky because it's not a flat, oily surface. It's always a bit wavy. So whale watching, I would say, if you want to do whale watching, there are better places. Whale whistling, listening, yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, that is it. Mike, thank you so much for doing this and for your generous gift as well. We're very excited about it. So thank you for sharing this with us. I think you introduced a lot of people to a very, very special place.
You're more than welcome. And thank you very much.